In the midst of our darkness, Jesus brings holy light.
Pierce our darkness, scatter the shadows of doubt and fear. Bring us your light, O Lord.
We seek the light, but have long lived in the darkness. Bring your light, O Lord.
Help us to be ready to receive that light.
Come to the shining presence of Jesus. Receive healing and hope.
Lord, our lives are ablaze with your love and healing power. Praise be to you, O Christ. Amen.
Our opening hymn is Shine, Jesus, Shine. The words will be on the screen. If you would like the music and don't have it, hold up your hand, and Bob will pass that around to you. the darkness of winter has been our companion, Lord. Now the days are lengthening. Bring your light to us, that we might see your glory and may work for you, offering hope and peace to this world. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Patient Lord, you know how accustomed we are to magic tricks. Our spirits and our senses get fooled easily. We could be just like the disciples, at first not believing what we receive, and then wanting to make a monument to the event. Thank you for being so patient with us. Forgive us when we get so wrapped up in the moment that we don't take time enough to understand its significance. Help us pause, reflect, think, and thank you for the blessings of unexpected revelations. Give us wisdom and strength to be your disciples, proclaiming your transforming love to all people. Amen.
Hear these words of assurance. To you the light of love and ministry has been revealed. Rejoice, you have been blessed by God to be witnesses, to proclaim God's love to all. Be at peace. Amen. Our hymn is number 275. Will you pray with me? Lord of infinite mercy, we would make a Broadway production of this Transfiguration event because we would not take the time to understand its significance for our lives. We are in such a hurry to memorialize everything that the power and meaning of the event become pale or altered in our memories. Help us look at Jesus with new eyes, those eyes that see him in the light of the witness of the ages, that see Jesus as the one who comes to set people free, to heal, to bring hope and peace. Make us ready to become faithful disciples rather than remaining dazzled by the mountaintop experience. Give us strength and courage this day to witness to Jesus' love by the many deeds of mercy and justice we can offer in his name. For we offer ourselves imperfect but willing to serve. We offer special prayers today asking for your healing and compassion and presence for those who we named and for those who remain unnamed in our hearts. You know their needs. We ask that you will be with our church and our community and all of those who are visiting, that we may lead the lives that you would have us lead. We pray for leaders of the world, that they might do what is right in your eyes as they lead their people, as they consider the needs of each. All these things we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, who taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. As we come to our time of giving and sharing, we proclaim Jesus Christ with our mouths, in our actions, and through our lives. Let us offer up our lives to Christ, that in our lives we may be servants of Jesus. Our Old Testament scripture reading this morning is 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Hear these words. Now when the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven by a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, for the Lord has sent me as far as Bethel." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. The company of prophets who were in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, "Did you know that today the Lord will take your master away from you?" And he said, "Yes, I know. Keep silent." Elijah said to him, "Elisha, stay here, for the Lord has sent me to Jericho." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they came to Jericho. The company of prophets who were at Jericho drew near to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take your master away from you?" And he answered, "Yes, I know. Be silent." Then Elijah said to him, "Stay here, for the Lord has sent me to the Jordan." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So the two of them went on. 50 men of the company of prophets also went and stood at some distance from them, as they both were standing by the Jordan. Then Elijah took his mantle and rolled it up and struck the water. The water was parted to the one side and to the other, until the two of them crossed on dry ground. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me what I may do for you before I am taken from you." Elisha said, "Please let me inherit a double share of your spirit." He responded, "You have asked a hard thing. Yet, if you see me as I am being taken from you, it will be granted you. If not, it will not." As they continued walking and talking, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them, and Elijah ascended in a whirlwind into heaven. Elisha kept watching and crying out, "Father, Father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen." But when he could no longer see him, he grasped his own clothes and tore them into pieces. Our gospel reading is Mark chapter 9, verses 2 through 9. This is the story of the Transfiguration. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them up a high mountain, apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what to say, for they were terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud there came a voice, "This is my son, the beloved. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them anymore, but only Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, he ordered them to tell no one about what they had seen until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. May God bless these words to our understanding and our lives to God's service. Amen. What would you have thought if you had seen either of these events? What would you have thought? Elisha knew something was going to happen. He knew his master was going to be taken away. But I bet he didn't know it would look like that. It doesn't really tell us very much about Elisha's reaction, other than he called out, and then he tore his clothes. This event is recalled when we talk about the Transfiguration. Jesus and the disciples are standing on the mountaintop, and Jesus lights up. His clothes were whiter than any bleach, whiter than any Tide Pod could get them. Dazzling white. Jesus himself was dazzling white. And they thought they saw Moses and Elijah. And Peter was terrified. All of them were terrified. It just mentioned Peter. And Peter is like that one friend who cannot stand silence. Peter had to say something. Do you have a friend like that? For many of you, it's probably me. He had to say something. He had to do something. So Peter thought back to the Jewish festival of the booths. And he says, let's build a dwelling. Some translations say tent or booths. The Jewish festival is the festival of the booths. So let's do that. Got to do something. Got to say something. Got to do something. Can't just witness the glory of God. Got to say something. Got to do something. Well, frankly, if it were us today, what would we do? Would we grab our cell phone? Let me get a picture of this. Can I get a selfie? You know, that's what those sticks are for. I'm not coordinated enough to use one. Let's do something. And truthfully, we do need to do something. Yes, it was a mountaintop experience. Yes, it's a good thing to witness the glory of God. When do we witness the glory of God?
Waking up.
Waking up. I figure if I'm waking up this side of the daisies, it's going to be a fairly decent day. I've reached that age. When the sun comes up in the morning over the lake, or when it sets in the fall when the leaves have changed, when we go out in the woods, when we see the beauty of nature, when we see beauty in other people, when someone we don't expect to do something nice does. We see the glory of God. And it's a good thing to remember, because all too often what we see is nowhere close to the glory of God. But there was a reason for this. It wasn't just, wow, look at that, next. There was a reason. The reason, part of the reason, was to let the disciples know, again, he's told them before, but to say again, I'm going to die. Jesus was a young, healthy man. You don't think of young, healthy people dying. You think of 99-year-olds who just had a stroke dying. But we don't think of young men in their 30s. They thought things were going pretty well. They're going town to town. They're doing their thing. But Jesus knows something else is coming. Something else is coming. It makes me think of when you go to the movies. Anybody go to the movies? And you get your popcorn. Yeah, you get your bucket of popcorn. You kind of ignore what the doctor says about popcorn. You get your bucket of popcorn and your gallon of soda, and you sit there and you watch all those little snippets of films that are coming. And of course they do that so that you'll come back and spend more money on another movie and another bucket of popcorn and a gallon of soda. Because that's how they make their money. And you sit there and you see what's coming. Well, Jesus is talking about what's coming. I'm going to die, and I'm going to be raised from the dead. Now, that's not your everyday occurrence. This is what's coming. Get ready. That's why we tell people what's coming, isn't it? So you can get ready. You can make plans. Get ready. What are we supposed to get ready for? There's the question. Remember, after the transfiguration, what did God say? This is my beloved. Listen. Good. Somebody was paying attention. That's good. You don't get anything for that, but it's good. Listen to him. And not just listen, but watch. Do what he does. Say what he says. Do you remember what Elisha asked for? When Elijah said, if you see me go up into heaven, what would you like me to give you or leave you? And he said, a double share, a double portion of your spirit. He wanted to do twice as much as Elijah had done. That would be a lot. Because everybody knows who Elijah was. Elijah was a major prophet. Those of us who have been teachers, doesn't it make you proud when you find out that some kid you taught has gone on and become something really important? You know, I don't know that any of my kids grew up to be brain surgeons or what they did, although I don't recall having heard any of their names on America's Most Wanted either, so perhaps I didn't do such a bad job. But when you're a teacher or a leader of any kind, when you see the people that you've been bringing along flourish, do even more than you thought about doing, you don't feel bad that you didn't do more. You feel great that they're doing so well. And you hope if they have a lot of money, they remember you had a part in it and leave you something. But, you know, it doesn't typically happen. Or give you a shout out. Send you a card. Elisha wanted to do twice as much. Now, we're not going to do twice as much as Jesus. But we could certainly strive to do as much or as much as we can. Most of the students I taught were kids with special needs. And I had one special needs child who lived in a shelter type home because she couldn't function outside of that. And even though her IQ was probably around 50, she said to me one day, you know, you just got to do the best you can with what you've got. Isn't that the truth? We're not asked to do more than we can do. We're asked to do the best we can with what we've got. Which is why it's nice to have a group of people working together, because the larger your group, the more likely you are to have someone else who can do the things you don't do so well, who can help carry the load, who can help find ministries that our community needs. It's easy to think of things to do. We can build tents and booths and, you know, yeah, that's nice, but does anybody need it or want it? What do the people around us need? What do they want? And how can we answer that? That's what we're called to. That's how we spread the love of Christ to those around us, is by finding their needs and our gifts and bringing them together. Elisha wanted a double portion. But let's use the portions that we got. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 477. There's a lot of work to be done yet. It's just getting started. We're going to need to pray a lot for the strength to do what needs to be done, and Jesus will show us the way. And now, until we meet again, may each one be held safely in the palm